Our speakers this evening are representatives from the Daughters of the American Revolution. This presentation was initiated by Rose Booth, who is an enthusiastic citizen of Litchfield, interested in historical matters in the county. She is a native New Yorker who spent most of her life in California. She relocated to Litchfield in 2007 after hooking up with a cousin in Lexington, Kentucky. I'll let her tell you the rest of the story. Ladies and gentlemen, Rose Booth.
Everybody, I'm so glad to see so many prospective members for the DAR and the members of the Historical Society. Yes, I did get to Grayson County because of genealogy. I have a cousin that lives in Lexington. She found my cousin in Phoenix, who called me and said, "You've got to call her." So I did. Told her, she said, "You have to come to Kentucky." I said, "If I can wear my big red hat, have a mint julep, and go to Derby Day down there." And she said, "You're on." So we went to Keeneland and I wore my big red hat. And I fell in love with it. So my 2-year plan, we had a 5-year plan. It turned into a 2-month plan. And I ended up in Grayson County. Why Grayson County? Because of the house I'm in. The gentleman that I was with, he showed me the house, and he told me about Litchfield 2 times. And I said, "Litchfield's not by Fort Knox. You want to have rentals, you need to be by Fort Knox." So then he sent the pictures of the house. I said, "I want that house." He says, "It's in Litchfield." I said, "I don't care where it is, I want that house." So that's why I'm in Litchfield. Anyway, welcome to everybody. And tonight we're going to have a little presentation, a real brief overview on what the DAR is all about and why to be a member. And to do that, we have Susan Lewis, who is our volunteer genealogist for the state of Kentucky, to give a little presentation and a little overview on a film, and then to answer some questions, and I'll answer any too that I can. And I'd like to introduce to you Susan Lewis, please. There you go, Sue.
Well, I'll tell you just briefly about the DAR. This little DVD is going to tell you ever so much more than I could tell you. The DAR is a nonprofit organization, much like yourselves, 501c or C3, whichever it is, I can never get it straight. And the 3 goals of the DAR are historic preservation. Gee, did anybody hear about historic preservation? Education and patriotism. And we put those 3 things together, and we are a lineage organization where you prove your lineage back to your patriot ancestor who fought to help establish this country. And that's the basics of the DAR. That's what it's all about. And let's see if I can have a little luck with this DVD today, and it will come on and play for me. That would be really, really nice. Oh, please. And
turn those lights back there on.
Yeah, and this overhead light needs to come off too, I guess.
you'll see it a little bit better if it does, yes. I think we're in business here.
I'm good, thank you.
With luck, we will have sound and everything will work. The last time I played this DVD, it was 95 degrees and the CD froze on me. So it was not a good day.
You've got a picture.
All right, folks, where's our sound? Okay, if we're not going to have sound, I'm going to have to talk through it. These are historic homes. Daughters help with all kinds of things going into schools with children. Some of these women who are sewing and spooling ribbon off the reel are putting together tags into clothing for the soldiers who are at Kaiserslautern who have been wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they've been sent to that hospital. This is Lynn Young, who is going to be our next President General come June. She is a Texas daughter, and she was instrumental in doing this film. As you can see, DAR goes back a long way. It was started in 1890. This is our building, which we own. It is the biggest piece of real estate owned only by women in the world. It is a square block at Washington, D.C. Okay, and here they are. They're talking about what DAR means to them and what a wonderful organization it is. I really wish I could have the sound play, but it just
I
doesn't
hear
want to work
faintly.
today.
I
Yeah.
hear
I
it
can
on
hear
your
it very
face.
softly.
Can you turn it up somehow?
Mike, you can't hear it, it goes right beside your head.
It should be carrying through this, and it doesn't seem to be wanting to do that.
You don't have to have speakers, do you?
No, it usually, the speakers, the sound comes through this. This is a naturalization ceremony. One of the things the DAR does is comes and gives flags to the people who are being naturalized or being made citizens of this country. We are in favor of naturalization of aliens, people who come into this country, because that makes them good citizens and they have to learn a lot about our country. These are immigrants coming in Ellis Island or somewhere like that. And here she is giving a child, I'm guessing, of a newly naturalized citizen the flag. And they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance, which is one of the things that we do at every one of our meetings. We say the Pledge of Allegiance. And this woman is tearing up because she has waited for her daughter to become a citizen. Pamela Marshall is another Texas daughter, and she's one of the ladies who helped make this film. Now here's one of these great 1890s photo that was taken in Memorial Hall, which is our building. This is the DAR application of Susan B. Anthony. That's our building. Memorial Continental Hall. A square block in DC. You can imagine what that costs to maintain, and it's over 100 years old. Like any old building, it is a money pit. So that's one of the places that our dues go to. Once a year, they have a grand meeting, and it's called Continental Congress, and it's in July. And all the daughters gather together and conduct their business for the year. They also have the same thing at state level. It's called state conference, and our state conferences the last 10 years or so have been held in Lexington. They have been held in Louisville in the past. It's hard for them to find a hotel that has enough meeting space to do that because we typically have between 300 and 400 daughters gathered together in Kentucky. You will notice some of the ladies that you see, what they are saying is we are today's DAR. And you see a few women there who are African American. And we do not discriminate by race, we do not discriminate by creed, we do not discriminate by color, we don't discriminate by, gentlemen, I'm sorry, we discriminate by sex. However, you do have an organization called the Sons of the American Revolution. Now this is historic preservation of artifacts that they're working on right there. Sons of the American Revolution is a little bit smaller than us women. Sons of the American Revolution was originally first. And they decided a few years in that they weren't going to allow women to come into their organization. They kicked us out, so we formed our own. That lady in the uniform is a DAR daughter, and she delivers these care packages that the DAR puts together to Kaiserslautern, to the wounded soldiers there. Typically a soldier who's wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan, he leaves, they pick him up in a helicopter or whatever and get him to the hospital in Kaiserslautern. He has no street clothes. All he has is his uniform. So they don't provide him with street clothes, and that's one of the things the DAR comes in and does. Several years ago we were collecting sheets because those soldiers over in Iraq and Afghanistan were not issued sheets, and they literally did not have sheets for their beds. These pictures are daughters visiting veterans hospitals, thanking the veterans for their services, giving them little gifts, telling them how important it was to them, to us, for them to serve our country and protect our country and to keep it free. Patriotism is extremely important to us, and it should be to everyone, because without soldiers to defend this country, we wouldn't have the country that we have now. We have a reverence of soldiers who fought in every war, not just the Revolutionary War. We trace back to the Revolutionary War, but soldiers in the War of 1812, soldiers in World War I, soldiers in the Spanish-American War, soldiers in World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, and Iran and Afghanistan. And we care about them. And this man is tearing up because he feels that they care about him and they appreciate him. This golf cart buggy type thing was a gift from the daughters out in California to a VA hospital to help them get some of the disabled veterans moved around where they need to go on the grounds of that VA hospital. Education is one of the third goal of the Daughters of the American Revolution. So one of the things that I do as a co-chair of volunteer genealogists in Kentucky is I go out and I do genealogical workshops. I do them for daughters, I do them for the general public, I do them for, usually a chapter will sponsor me and have me come. That young man has been provided clothing, and they're in the hospitals at Kaiserslautern in Germany. they're sewing tags into some of the throws and different things that they make for the veterans. DAR also has 6 or 7 schools that we either provide most of the funding for or we sponsor to an extent. And they are places like Hindman Settlement School here in Kentucky. I think that one was founded by the DAR. We have 3 that are literally DAR schools. And then we have several other. Bacone College for the Indians is one, because these Indians are disadvantaged. There's a school in Alabama in an area which was remote and didn't have good schools, and that's kindergarten through 12. So we have a number of schools that we are constantly raising funds for and sending money for. Hyman Settlement School is the premier school in this country probably for dyslexic children. They have developed the most modern techniques and they're very, very good. This lady here is crying because she has 2 sons who are soldiers. She says DAR means a lot to her. As a mother of 2 soldiers, her heart is very full. Here's the Kate Duncan Smith School down in Alabama. And here's years and years ago when Kate Duncan Smith School was founded. All those DAR ladies in what is now antique clothing.
Yeah.
And these are some of the children who go to that school. One of the resolutions that came out of this year's work at DAR headquarters, there's a daughter reading to the children, was that DAR has put forth a resolution that the curriculum in our 50 states needs to be changed to include cursive handwriting again, because that has been stricken from the curriculum.
Yes.
Just imagine how good you would be as a genealogist if you cannot even read today's cursive. How are you going to read those court books, and how are you going to read those census records? And that's the Kate Duncan Smith executive director. He's talking about his school and how important it is to those kids who otherwise would not have the opportunities they have to go to school and to get a good education and to go forward to college. This girl here has an absolutely amazing voice. She's singing Amazing Grace. I wish you could hear it.
Are the schools private?
Are they private schools? Oh, they are not. I think some of them are in cooperation with the states, but I think others of them, the 3 that are owned and run by the DAR, are private schools. And the kids who go there, it's on a subscription basis, so they pay tuition to go. No, DAR is a service organization. We have goals in conservation, we have goals in historic preservation, preservation of genealogical records. Okay, and here is a home that they had on tour, and the benefits were to go to breast cancer, which is yet another DAR area. Women's issues is one of the things that we look at. Usually we'll have a program once a year on women's issues. We'll have a program once a year on historic preservation. We may have a program once a year on, well, this is the 200th anniversary of the War of 1812. So War of 1812 is something that we're looking at a lot this year. Spending a lot of time focusing on. DAR also has a magazine. It's called American Spirit. Anybody can subscribe to the magazine. If you are a member who subscribes to the magazine, there's a special section that you get that talks specifically about what new ancestors have been proven and what work the committees are doing, things that would be of interest to DAR members. But the actual magazine itself talks about history and historic preservation and old homes and things that happened 200 years ago, and it's an amazing magazine. My husband always has it open and has it read from cover to cover by the time I get home. And I'm fine with that. My husband was a teacher of history for 35 years, so he appreciates history, and he thinks it's a very good magazine too, and we just enjoy it tremendously. Even not as a DAR member, I would still enjoy that magazine and read that magazine. Another historic home tour. This, I think, is one of the signers of the Constitution, and I'm not sure exactly which state it was. But it's one of the very few homes, I think it's the only home that still remains that was from a signer of the Constitution. Monuments, historic monuments, to Santa Fe
That's
Trail.
a library.
There's a library.
This is the DAR library, and you've seen that on the Who Do You Think You Are, where they brought Rob Lowe in. They brought him into this library, and they looked up his ancestry, and they found out that his patriot actually was a good patriot. Well, he was a Hessian first, but DAR looks at the years from 1775 to 1781, and if a guy did something for the British and he did something for us, this is one of the head genealogists there at National. Okay, and this lady talks a lot about how much this has meant to her to be able to research her history and all the amazing things that she found, and how much she loves to share that information with her family. Her family apparently was free black in Virginia years and years and years ago, which is not real common, but with a free family it's a lot easier to trace the genealogy than it is with a slave family, because often with slaves it was not recorded. Okay, and these ladies are going to be helping take care of seals that were injured and beached and would have died otherwise, and that it's a catch and heal and release program. So they contribute to that. That's conservation. That's one of our many goals. Teachers, dynamic young teacher, member of the DAR. One of the things that they stress over and over again in this DVD is today's DAR is not your grandmother's DAR. We love our grandmothers, we revere our grandmothers. However, there are some big differences in the DAR of today and the DAR of 50 years ago. Many of the DAR chapters 50 years ago, it had to do a lot with social standing as to whether you could become a member. And they were run as rather exclusive clubs. And that is not today's philosophy at all. If you have the ancestry, if you have the little bit of financial resources it takes, and you have the interest and you want to join, we would welcome you as a member. Doing research in Kentucky, I have done more than 50 sets of papers for ladies to join the DAR, and I don't usually find one patriot. I'm finding 5, I'm finding 10. Kentucky was founded by Revolutionary War patriots. So it's not a question of if you have the ancestry. If you're from Kentucky and your family has been in Kentucky, you've got the ancestry. It might be a little bit more difficult to prove it, but it's not impossible. We donate books to the library, middle school and high school in our town, books about the Constitution, or books that are patriotic or American history related. Yes, I'm today's DAR. And you see what a young crowd that is too. You don't typically think of DAR and think of women who are young, but DAR does have a very special feeling for junior members. Young women who are between the ages of 18 and 36 are called junior members, and they actually have special privileges within the society. They can do what's called paging, which is wearing all white, and they help out at the conferences and act as gophers.
Basically,
My daughters have done it.
They're like slaves.
Well, yeah, more or less. But
you know, another thing that wasn't mentioned, that the DAR, they also give scholarships. They support so many things, and I happened to be lucky enough to go to state conference this year, and it was quite an eye-opener, because I thought I knew what I knew, and boy, what I found out when I got up there, the opportunities and the things that are open to women in the DAR and the things you can learn and participate in is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I had the best weekend that I've ever had. It was like I was in total awe. Margie, you know, she was up there with me, and it was such a good time, so many good workshops, meeting people and networking with people that from all over, from all over, not just Kentucky, they come from all over. We had a regent that came from Massachusetts. It was so nice. And you get to see a little bit of the pomp and circumstance, but it's not like she said, like 50 years ago when it was a girls' club, it wasn't like that. It's well worth it. You can get so excited. I get so excited about it. I just love it. But anyway, I'm so glad that you ladies came and you could see a little bit of that, and that I'll be able to work with all of you, getting you into the DAR. And we will have a chapter here in Litchfield that will be, bar none, We're gonna be great. Sorry you're a man, you can't join, but we do have a place for you too. But thank you for everybody from the Historical Society for having us as a program. I really appreciate
It was
that.
our pleasure.
We have a special word for husbands of
Yeah.
DAR members.
They
We
call them hodars.
Hodars.
Hodars. Husband of the DAR. Monty's hodar goes everywhere. The poor man drives us everywhere.
And, about 1963 or 4, I was in the DAR Hall in DC to watch a folk group, and I can't remember the name of them now. But I've been there. That's just apropos of nothing, but I have been there.
It's impressive. It really is impressive. If you ever go to the DAR Constitution Hall and that library, oh, you can live in there. It's just wonderful. It's just, you walk in there and you just feel history enwrapping you. It's amazing. And it is huge. Especially when you walk that block to get by it. It is huge because you come up this hill and then it goes like this and you feel it.
The Genealogical Research Library there has it's a very nice collection. When you consider that they've been collecting since 1890, and they've been collecting the whole time since 1890. My home county in Pennsylvania, there were items there from my home county I had never seen before, and I've been researching 40 years. So when you talk about things that are out of print and things that are limited edition, and they've got it all. They've really got a nice library. They will charge you, if you are not a DAR or SAR member, $5 a day to come in. However, if you're DAR, you show them your card. Likewise, the SAR library is in Louisville, and they will charge you $5 a day unless you are DAR or SAR, so I get free admittance to their library with my DAR membership.
And that DAR library in Washington is so close to the Library of Congress, you don't want to ever go home. Between the two of them, it's wonderful.
It's not far from the National Archives either.
No.
I between the two of them.
Yeah.
Visited them both in a day.
I'd like to tell you ladies that we do have information on Revolutionary War soldiers that settled in Grayson County. We don't have a lot of information on some of them, we have a lot on some of them. But anyhow, should you be, your ancestor be one that settled in Grayson County, you could start here with that name and then work yourself back to it or forward to you, whichever way you want to go back.
Do you know if you have any volumes of the DAR Patriot Index? Okay.
Pretty sure we
It's a
don't.
good thing you don't, because at this point, it's available on the web. If you do a Google search for DAR space GRS, that stands for Genealogical Research Service, and we have 900,000 applications transcribed and on the web and available for you to see what has been proven in the past. And the information on the Patriots changes as they find new evidence. Sometimes they'll change the death place or the death date, or sometimes the birth date or the birthplace, or add a wife. And the most current information is out there on the web, so I encourage people not to use those books anymore, much as I love them, and they're very well made and beautiful books. They're just out of date.
Now, these are not the kind of books you're talking about. These
No,
are- Yeah.
it's a specific book put out by the DAR that lists their ancestors. It's on the DAR webpage, which is www.dar.org. But if you do a Google search for DAR space GRS, stands for Genealogical Reference Service. It will be the first one that comes up, and you just click on that, and then you go into whatever part of it. It has tabs across the top for ancestor, for information on members, for information on descendants. For example, if I went in and searched on descendants, I could find my grandmother's name. Now, you worry about identity theft? The last 3 generations are privatized. You will not be able to see that information. I can because I'm a state chairperson, but it's very restricted on who can see it. General public cannot. And you say 3 generations, that's me, my mother, and my grandmother. How come my grandmother's name is in there? Because my daughter is also a member, and my grandmother was deceased at the time she joined. So her name was in there because she was deceased at the time. Dead people have no privacy. So there's a lot, there's 200 years worth of genealogy out there for, well, there's 900,000 members. The members can also do supplemental applications and prove additional ancestors. So there's probably 1 million applications out there available for you to look at. And it's all the old stuff that's shown with linkages.
It's like a candy store. I mean, it really is. It's just so much fun to find this stuff.
Any questions at all?
Yes. Do your records get very deep? I don't even know if the records exist. Are there very detailed records of the military service of the soldiers?
Pretty good.
It depends on the soldier. If the soldier had a pension, it's sometimes amazing what you find in his pension
Yeah,
file.
I've read some of those pensions.
Yeah, sometimes you'll just have a muster roll that shows that a soldier was in a particular county at a particular time and he was a soldier. It doesn't require you to be a soldier to be a patriot for DAR purposes. Patriots can be a woman who was a spy. A patriot can be a woman
Somebody
who...
who sold corn to them, or provided
Can be a person that
services,
supplies
something to them,
Yes.
things
to
to.
the effort, to the
I've
work.
heard something as vague as suffered depredations, and this was a woman. She suffered depredations. Well, what happened was her husband was away during the war, and they quartered the British in her house, and they ate everything they owned, and then they burned all the furniture for firewood because they ran out. Well, she suffered depredation. She was left with a big empty house. Any other questions?
Are your badges significant or something?
Yes, they are. This is my insignia, and I'm wearing it tonight. I can only wear this at certain times and places. I can wear it to a DAR meeting. I can wear it to the funeral of a DAR member, and that's about it.
We can't wear them outside.
Yeah, you can't wear them on the street. It's-
They have to be in order.
Mhm.
Okay.
There is a
There's
specific
a
order that they go into.
Specific order.
This one here is the most significant. It is the spindle and distaff, and it is the DAR insignia, the official insignia. Above that, and this is in increasing order of importance, this is my ancestor, Abraham Stauffer. This is his state that he served from, Pennsylvania. This is my chapter, Cox's Station chapter that I belong to. This is a pin that I was able to buy because I am a senior leader of the Children of the American Revolution, yet a third organization kids can belong to from birth to age 22, boys and girls. It's sort of a feeder organization for the SAR and the DAR. This is the state of Kentucky, which I can get that pin because I'm a member here.
We have to buy all these.
Yeah,
Yes.
We earn them, but then we have to buy them.
but you earn, yeah.
This particular one I
Margie
earned by
can tell you
making a
about that.
donation.
I love the pins.
I earned by making a donation to the project that put the GRS online. That's one that's near and dear to my heart. So I made the donation, and then I had the privilege of buying the pin if I wanted to. Okay, this is the bookworm pin. I used to index the DAR books. They would send them to me. I would do a program and index them, and I would send them back, and then I'd send the index back. I don't do that anymore. I wish I had time. This is my member for member pin. I am currently at 49 member for member count. That's the number of people who I've helped join the DAR, either by doing the genealogy, or finding the proofs for them, or inviting them to my chapter meeting and getting them to come and talking them into joining. So 49. That's a pretty good number. This is my pin as state chairman of volunteer genealogists. I'm not the only chairman. I happen to be a co-chair. I share that with Myra Sue Evans. This is my lifetime membership pin. When I turn 65, my national and state membership will be prepaid because I paid them in lump sum in advance.
How much is that?
It's currently $800. It'll go up. So, you know, if you're interested in that, I have seen too many ladies who got into their 90s and went into the nursing home and their kids would not pay for their dues. That's not going to happen to me. My dues, if I get Alzheimer's like my aunt, my dues will still be paid.
You won't know it.
Well, I won't
No,
know.
almost the DAR ladies.
That's true. I won't know it. And this last pin at the top is my chapter officer's pin. I'm a chapter registrar, which means I do paperwork and I get to know all the new ladies because I'm working with them doing their paperwork. And this one underneath is chapter librarian. I was chapter librarian for a couple of years before I was chapter registrar. I have been a DAR member since 2003, less than 10 years, and I'm a state co-chair. So, and I'm not even from Kentucky. I'm a brought-in. So I feel really blessed to be with a DAR that is willing to use me and use my talents, and I feel blessed because it has been a real learning opportunity for me, and I get to come marvelous places like the Jack Thomas House and enjoy this beautiful home. So thank you.
Well, thank you for telling me about that.
Do you still know how to index books? Can you do that today? I may have a job for you.
I learned when I was a member of Nelson County Genealogical Roundtable to do it using Word. Now, the
Yeah.
program that I was using with the DAR was a Sky something program, so it was a little bit different, but yeah, I can do it using Word,
Well,
using
we
Word documents.
just got through with our Volume 2 cemetery book that, and we've been working with a guy in Frankfurt who said he would do it for us, but he's going kind of slow, and he's got health problems and everything. So we would, if possible, would you work on it for us? How much longer are you going to stay in Kentucky anyway?
Well, let's put it this way, my home has been on the market for 3 years because I'd like to move back to Pennsylvania and nothing has happened yet, so I could leave at any moment.
Well, okay, I want to talk to you about this.
I will have to give it some thought.
Okay.
My time is so limited right now because I'm running all over the state doing workshops for DAR and all kinds of other
Yeah.
fun things that I like to
Okay.
do. But
Well,
that is,
anyway, I hope this guy comes through, but
Mhm.
I'd like to have a backup plan.
okay.
Did you give him the papers that you showed me about the DAR?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
historic
Okay,
preservation
historic
grants, yes.
preservation papers.
DAR does do historic preservation grants as
Yeah,
well.
I've
Yeah.
got those.
So I'd like to let people know about that when it applies to their situation.
Okay.
I have a question. Do
Yes.
they help any with cemeteries? My patriot started Hudson, Kentucky. We have found the cemetery and we're getting ready to clean it. And so we're looking for grave markers. You know, he's buried there.
Mhm.
And so I had a cousin 2 years ago that came and dropped off the family tree for me.
Mhm.
And so I've got a lot of information. And
So
so,
what kind of help are you looking for with the cemetery?
well, at least where I could buy something, you know, for grave markers for,
If you have a veteran of any war of the United States, you can get a tombstone for free
From the government.
from the government. Yeah.
And we did that in this county with Henry Skaggs, who was a Revolutionary War soldier. A late local lady here was related to him, and she pushed the idea, and we finally got a monument placed where he's buried. So, yeah, it can be done.
Another thing, if anybody has anybody who fought in any of the wars and they received medals, and you have documentation that says that they did receive the medals, the government will replace those medals for you, because I had my father's replaced.
Huh.
They sent them to me, and at no cost. Takes you a few months to get them, but at no cost.
I read in the paper that there's a genealogy workshop in Frankfurt Saturday. Do you know about that, or is DAR participating in that?
Saturday, this coming Saturday?
Yes.
No, I don't know anything about that one. The History Center in Frankfurt does have genealogy workshops from time to time. And I know that's one that's not being run by DAR because Saturday they're having a major board meeting in Frankfurt. They're having their workshop on Thursday, I think.
If anybody's interested in going, Donna wants to go, and she'd love to have somebody to go with.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do that. I did a lot of research years ago before the advent of the computer and so on, and then I've lost a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to start over, so I need to refresh my memory and learn the new techniques.
That's a good place to go. That's a good place to go.
So if anybody's interested, just let Donna know, because she'll go with you.
Are they?
Yeah,
Work it
that's it.
No more questions?
Okay, we've got refreshments in this room right here.
I'd just like to tell everyone that I've got a niece that went right out of high school, and she's been 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in South Korea, and she's still in her 20s. And her husband just got back from Afghanistan, and I've got a nephew that's been to Saudi, and he's in the Air Force, she's in the Army. So our family is military back. My brother-in-law retired from the Army. My dad was in World War II. My brother was in that bad one that never got settled over there. So it's military is really important to our country.
I was impressed when I saw the soldiers being visited. My husband and I went through all of the research that has to be done before you can get permission to go into the VA as a volunteer up in Fort Wayne. And to go in to see a soldier who hasn't had anybody in his family come to see him, it just breaks your heart. He lost a leg or he lost his eyes, you know, and family and friends abandon them sometimes. And then just to go in and put your hand on their shoulder and say thank you.
We do have awards every year that are done at a national level, and the gals who are winning those awards are spending hundreds and hundreds of hours a year going and visiting in the VA hospitals and helping out and finding out what they need and getting drives together. We were collecting socks for a long time, and I think the Lexington and Louisville VA right now have so many socks they told us don't bring any more. So socks, toiletries, anything that's non-alcoholic, so they don't want mouthwash, all kinds of things that they want.
There's many opportunities to do good works, there really are, and many different committees, and there's just, it's, like I said, it's got a wealth of offerings for people who really, obviously you're here because you are givers and you do care about history and about the past and about people, or you wouldn't be sitting here. But that's what this organization is all about, it really is. It's a service organization to the max, I mean, bar none. It really and truly is.
It's not just dead people.
No, I like dead people. That's what my cousin says to me.
But I mean that there are a lot of people that are alive
Oh, yeah.
and they need help too.
My cousin always says to me, because we're writing a book on a common ancestor, and she'll say, "You like the really dead ones," she says. "I don't like them so dead."
They almost.
What better organization to belong to than with a lot of like-minded people who like to do genealogy? Genealogy is my thing.
Oh, it's addictive.
There are actually people in the DAR who do not really care for genealogy, and they're in the DAR.
She likes pins.
Mom was a member, grandmother was a member. It's a family tradition. It's something that they do together, and they have found their own niche within the DAR. There's 50 different committees in the DAR. They all have a different focus. So there is something for everybody, and anybody with any kind of skills can put themselves to good use in the DAR. It's an interesting organization. It's been around so long, they do everything, almost. So,
And you never learn it all.
no.
You're
No.
constantly learning.
Well, I have to say right now that at the rate they're changing things
Yeah.
and upgrading the technology,
Yeah.
I think it's
daily
wonderful, but you know how change is, it's hard. Change is hard, and well, like with the Patriot books, we don't recommend that they be used anymore. I had some of my libraries, and I put stickers in them that says, "You may use this book, however, please be aware that this is not the most recent information, and it's on the web at here." So, and it's just amazing. This GRS lookup service that has been available to the general public for about the last 4 years. It's unreal. I've had a lot of fun playing with that database and locating ancestors for people. Typically anymore, I have people who do not know if they have an ancestor fill out a 5-generation chart to the best of their ability. And whatever they give me their grandparents. You know, the last gal I did that for, I ran her down 6 or 8 Patriots, and I said, okay, here's the easy one. We'll do this one. And it just, having the GRS available is another tool in my arsenal, and I have a few other tools that I use. Ancestry.com is one, RootsWeb World Connect is another one, and Family Search is the third. Family Search has got some awesome collections out there, unindexed, that nobody knows how to use. So.
Did you get an extra pin if you have more than one ancestor?
Yes, you do.
I do.
And there are ladies who have,
Yes.
There are
50
some that have
Yeah.
them, you know.
Yeah.
But that's all the ones that do work, really work.
Do all the pins have to go on one ribbon on one side? Or if you
No,
have lots
no,
of pictures,
some
can
of
you have
them
two to
have
balance?
6
So, they look like they're in the military, some of them. Huh?
your maximum length is 14 inches. I think the maximum width is 4, which when you think about it, I mean, if I had 4 ribbons here, that'd be twice as wide. I wouldn't have enough shoulder to really wear it, because a 4 inch
We also have new pins every 3 years for our president general, and they're gorgeous. We have to buy them, you know, support the DAR, so it's just,
It's just fabulous.
It's a lot of fundraising,
It is.
but, you know, you get these gorgeous pins to wear.
And again, that's optional. You know, you can if you want to, if you feel that you really
Tell them
have to
about
have
your
it.
experience getting your ribbon.
I have my ribbon and I have my spindle. Well, I bought it up at the state conference. Well, I didn't realize that you gotta buy the top too. The top that holds it on, and then the bar that's for the, if you buy it. Now, I've been a member for 7 years and I have never had it. So it's not anything that anybody has to run out and buy, but I thought, would be nice. I'd really like to have this finally. Well, now, I'm still 2 pieces short and I can't wear the ribbon because all I have is the ribbon and the spindle. So now I have to buy the thing bar and I have to buy my ancestor bar. So, but it's a good thing I didn't buy it because of this, you know, it would be.
I'm the regent of the chapter in Elizabethtown, and the top medal I have is, of course, the regent. And when I go out, I have 1 more year, then I'll have a past regent. I have to give that one up. Plus, I have the little ribbon
That's gonna
at
kill
home.
you.
Did you get a refund?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have to pay for it.
No,
It's
that
not
was
for the
a
chapter.
Yeah.
I better not lose it. It's really old too. So
It gets passed down.
yeah, it gets passed
So
down.
it comes from
So
down the line.
yeah, oh, it's all everything's significant.
I'm
in
sure.
DAR. So it's kind of like my
Good
husband
Lord, I put
retired
it in the
military.
safe. If I
I
had
know,
that.
I know.
I loved all his medals, and I said if I could wear all his medals on this side, and
Margie's funny. You go like the state conference, and oh boy, the new regent's coming in, and man, she's buying the new stuff. I'm going,
Yeah.
oh Margie, it's only been, what, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Then somebody else new comes in, but she loves them.
I love it. Yeah.
She loves her pins.
If you don't wear your pins on the street, it kind of avoids the situation. I've had gentlemen walk up to me, actually at the state conference, and say, "Are you a general?"
Oh, yeah. Sure.
No, I'm actually.
This woman's on it.
military. I was civilian, military. I worked for the military,
did
but I was
too.
not active duty military. I was a civilian person who worked for the
But we
military.
didn't get button pins. We didn't get medals. We're doing that.
No, we got a salary.
We got a good salary though.
We got our 13 vacation days a year for Columbus Day and stuff like that. So.
Right.
When I was in California, my regent that was out there, she was a dear friend of mine, Dolores, and she was a woman that did what she wanted to do when she wanted to do. And she wasn't that interested in cooking and stuff like that. So Jack, her husband, one time, we were talking about pins, because she liked pins, and she always get the pins. And so he says, what do you think it would take? What kind of a pin would it be I could give you to get you to have a few good hours in that kitchen? She goes, depends what kind of pin and what it looks like. That's a pin, that's a pin, DAR lady. Well, if you'd like to retire to the next room, they have some wonderful,
I have
wonderful
one more
desserts.
question.
Oh,
I
okay,
just thought of
good.
one more question. Militias. The Revolutionary War, the first American shots from the Revolutionary War were shot by militiamen.
Okay.
Are there records, or do you have records available on militias? Small local militias?
You'd be surprised what is available. I have one ancestor who was a ranger on the Pennsylvania frontier, which was pretty much wilderness at that point in time, and there is a record of it. Yeah, if he's militia, he got paid.
Okay,
So you're looking at muster rolls, you're looking at pay records.
okay, so the militias were more than just the Litchfield militia.
Yeah, you occasionally had people who were not formal members. Well, in Kentucky, you can be a quote-unquote Indian fighter, and if you were in defense of your home area against the Indians, being an Indian fighter on the frontier, that is considered patriotic service at that time and at that place, because the British were encouraging the Indians to attack the settlers. So that was an act of the British, and you were repelling it. So I know a man who was, Colonel Samuel Wells was killed near Shelbyville, I think, and he was, I'm not sure what he was a colonel from, I'm thinking French and Indian, which would precede the Revolutionary War, but he was killed on the frontier defending against the Indians. So that in itself, just getting killed doing that, is an act of patriotic service.
I have an ancestor that was killed by Indians, but it was 1793, I think. It's a little bit after the war.
We only go as far as 1781.
But you know, you'd love to talk to the SAR, because I bet they have some phenomenal records too, and they're totally involved with the mail side of it, so you'd probably.
And I'll refer you, and I'll get another medal.
No.
And it's called Martha Washington, I already have one.
I guess that'd be the SAR.
The SAR and Alex Probus.
Just give me your name.
Well, you can route it.
We'll put somebody in touch with you
Yes.
gladly, and we'll give them a form to record that we put you in touch with them, yes.
Okay, sure.
I have a Martha Washington myself.
Yeah. And it's pretty, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and the SAR, they don't make you buy them, they give
No,
them to
they
you.
give
give
you.
it
Do you have any patches? We do Boy Scouts.
We don't have patches, I don't know if they have patches.
Boy Scout, well, the real big shots have sash. Oh, really?
We
We're
both
not
have
that big.
medals.
Oh, okay.
There are a few medals for the Boy
Scouts.
Scouts.
Cody's
Okay.
Eagle Scout.
The Hornet Day Award, different.
It's
I
a
joined.
honor.
I
It's
joined.
it's a medal. Yeah. It's got the Eagle Scout emblem on it.
Well, I bet the Sons of American Revolution have patches.
They're bright.